Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Second wave of blasts hit Lebanon as Israel declares new phase of war. US Federal Reserve signals end to inflation fight with a sizable half-point rate cut. And in Chennai Test, India off to a shaky start, 3 wickets down before lunch. Rishabh Pant and Yashasvi Jaiswal rebuild India innings on the opening day of the first Test match against Bangladesh. A second wave of device explosions killed 20 people and wounded more than 450 others on Wednesday in Hezbollah strongholds in Lebanon. A source close to Hezbollah said walkie-talkie used by its members blew up in its Beirut stronghold, with state media reporting similar blasts in South and East Lebanon. The deadly attacks came a day after the simultaneous explosion of hundreds of paging devices used by Hezbollah killed 12 people, including 2 children, and wounded up to 3,000 others in an unprecedented attack blamed on Israel. While Israeli officials have not commented, security sources claim Israel's spy agency Mossad was behind the attacks. A Hezbollah official described the incident as the group's biggest security breach in its history. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said during a visit to an airbase that the nation is at the start of a new phase in the war and that the center of gravity is moving northward. 2 consecutive blasts in pagers and walkie-talkie devices in Lebanon on Tuesday and Wednesday has created fear in the Western nations and the USA about prospects of further escalation of war in the Middle East with Israel in the center. They're now making all-out efforts to limit its area of spread and its lethal nature. However, the question remains how Hezbollah will reorganize its communication networks. Here is a report by Akhilesh Suman.
A second deadly wave of unprecedented explosions in Lebanon left many dead and Hezbollah in disarray. Hours before a major speech by its beleaguered leader Hassan Nasrallah, walkie-talkies used by its members exploded in the latest blast at Hezbollah's Beirut stronghold. The latest batch of device explosions have stoked fears of a full-blown war with Israel. USA has distanced itself from these incidents in Lebanon and denied any involvement in Tuesday and Wednesday blasts. It has, however, warned all sides against escalation of conflict in the Middle East.
We still don't want to see an escalation of any kind. We don't believe that the way to solve where we're at in this crisis is by additional military operations at all. We still believe that the best way to prevent escalation, to prevent another front from opening up in Lebanon, is through diplomacy.
The blast came a day after the simultaneous detonation of pagers used by Hezbollah killed 12 people, including 2 children, and wounded up to 3,000 others across Lebanon in an unprecedented attack blamed on Israel. The attacks have dealt a heavy blow to Hezbollah. The situation at the Lebanon-Israel border continues to be tense and volatile. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres too has cautioned against major escalation of war.
As important as the event in itself is the indication that this event confirms that there is a serious risk of a dramatic escalation in Lebanon, and everything must be done to avoid that escalation.
Senior diplomats from the United States, Britain, Germany, France and Italy will also meet on Thursday in Paris to discuss the spiraling tensions in the Middle East, especially in the wake of recent blast in Lebanon. However, the question everyone is asking is about the credibility of procured devices by Hezbollah, as the pagers were supplied by a Bulgarian company and walkie-talkies by a Japanese one. But given the past history, Hezbollah has the capability to quickly reorganize, and that is the reason that the West fears that the strikes may not go without a reply. Akhilesh Suman's report for DD India.
Moving on to other stories, White House said US President Joe Biden is looking forward to bringing India's PM Narendra Modi, Japanese PM Fumio Kishida and Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese to his hometown Delaware for the Quad Summit set to be held on September 21st. The mega summit also marks Biden's last Quad Summit of his term ahead of the presidential elections in the US.
The president has developed over 3.5 years and more. The president has developed a relationship with these leaders, and so he wanted to continue on that diplomacy, if you will, by bringing them to Wilmington. And I think it's important. I think it's important show of how those relationship has grown. It's important to show how much the president really focuses on foreign policy, and I think that's what you should see from that. It's politics, not just domestic, but also foreign policy is very much local.
Press briefing, U.S. National Security Council Coordinator for Strategic Communications John Kirby said President Biden will meet Quad leaders individually and the four together in a larger plenary session where they will discuss expanding cooperation on various critically important issues. Talking about the issues, Kirby said that China will certainly be high on the agenda at the Quad Summit.
Well, I think it will certainly be high on the agenda, John. I mean, there's not an opportunity when you get together with these particular leaders, the Indo-Pacific Quad, where in fact, it would be irresponsible if they didn't talk about the challenges that still exist in the region caused by aggressive PRC military action, for instance, unfair trade practices, tensions over the Taiwan Strait. I have no doubt that all those issues will come up.
The USA's House of Representatives has blocked a bill moved by the Republicans to avert an imminent government shutdown. The bill was opposed by some of the Republicans too. The bill was moved by Speaker Mike Johnson, a Republican leader, but he could not get the support of 14 lawmakers of his own party. However, the bill got support from 3 lawmakers from the Democratic Party. The bill failed by 220 to 202 votes. Unless the House takes up the issue and passes another bill to avert a crisis situation, US could be staring at the prospect of federal shutdown. The shutdown would see the closure of federal agencies and national parks, limiting public services and furloughing millions of workers without pay just weeks before the election. The bill was moved by Republicans as stopgap arrangement till the budget was passed. The problem with the Republican draft was that it also included a SAFE Act. SAVE Act, a Trump-backed measure that requires proof of citizenship when registering to vote in federal elections. Democrats said that SAVE Act was not required because it was already illegal for non-citizens to cast a ballot in federal elections. US President Joe Biden hosted a reception at the White House to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month and honor the contributions of Latin Americans. The president was introduced by actress and Hispanic American Jessica Alba. Biden then jokingly asked actress Alba for a job as he enters his final months in the White House.
And by the way, Jessica, thank you for the introduction. She's an actor, producer, advocate, author, and she knows how to build companies. Jessica, if I'm really good, maybe you can get me a job in this area. God love you.
US Vice President Kamala Harris emphasized the need to reform the immigration system and protect dreamers while condemning former President Donald Trump and his extremist allies for their plans to carry out the largest deportations in American history. Harris took a jab at Trump, recalling his debate response, where he mentioned having concepts of plan concerning policy changes to the Affordable Care Act. She also pledged to sign legislation restoring reproductive freedoms for women and Latinas if elected president, and called for unity against the politics of division and hate.
And while we fight to move our nation forward to a brighter future, Donald Trump and his extremist allies will keep trying to pull us backward. We all remember what they did to tear families apart. And now they have pledged to carry out the largest deportation, a mass deportation in American history. Imagine what that would look like and what that would be. How's that going to happen? Massive raids? Massive detention camps? What are they talking about?
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Wednesday said that his victory plan intended to bring peace to Ukraine was now complete after much consultation. On the plan's preparation, Zelensky has given few clues of the contents, indicating that it aims to create terms acceptable to Ukraine. He added that the most important thing now is the determination to implement the plan. Meanwhile, Ukraine's military administration said Russia's counter-offensive to retake Ukrainian-held territory in the Kursk region has been stopped. Russia has repeatedly said it is willing to negotiate, but Zelensky has rejected any negotiation proposals, citing Russian troops occupying nearly 20% of the country's territory. Campaigning for the presidential elections in Sri Lanka ended last night. The silent period will be in force until the election is completed. The front-runners held rallies in Colombo last evening, making a final push to attract the voters. 38 candidates are in the fray, including incumbent President Ranil Wickremesinghe, leader of opposition and SJB candidate Sajith Premadasa, NPP leader Anura Kumara Disanayake and Namal Rajapaksa from SLPP. Sri Lanka's Election Commission has urged the voters to utilize the period to think independently before they vote. During this period, any form of election campaign activities are prohibited, and the police are authorized to arrest any parties that violate election rules. The Commission also said that all election offices established by political parties must be removed by midnight today. The election will be held on Saturday from 7 a.m. till 5 p.m. Counting of votes will begin after the completion of voting. With no candidate projected to secure a majority exceeding 50%, it is anticipated that counting will go into second round as well. Haiti's government on Wednesday created a provisional electoral council, marking the most concrete step towards reviving the electoral process in years after political turmoil and later violence thwarted previous attempts. The council created on Wednesday already has representatives for 7 seats that represent religious groups, journalists, farmers and unions. The council will be tasked with laying out the legal framework to hold elections and then planning them. The Caribbean nation is set to hold elections by 2026, a decade after they were last held in 2016. Under normal circumstances, elections would have been held every 5 years, but an already rocky political situation in Haiti was exacerbated by the power vacuum caused by the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse in 2021, and the nation has gone without a president since. Hollywood actor Colin Farrell undergoes a dramatic makeover as the Penguin in the upcoming series, leaving co-stars in awe. The crime series delves into the DC villain's rise in Gotham City, with Farrell's commitment and transformation setting the stage for an intriguing portrayal. Let's take a look.
I looked in the mirror and I saw something looking back that was not me.
The world ain't set up for the honest man to succeed. That should be the American dream right there.
That's how Colin Farrell describes his new avatar taken for the title character in the Max crime drama series, The Penguin. This series is based on the popular DC drama villain, Penguin, and is a spin-off of the 2022 film, The Batman, where Farrell played the same character.
We're in the middle of a gang war.
Not that I'm complaining.
I had the accent and I had the voice, I felt what it was going to be, close to at least, and then the makeup went on and it was just a... I hate to say it because it sounds so wanky, but there was a powerful transformation that happened.
The Irish actor had a difficulty recognizing him post-makeup and prosthetics done by designer Mike Marino. The transformation was so epic that except for the hands, every part of Colin's body was transformed in the character, the Oz, and left everyone around him speechless.
He sounds like Oz, he walks like Oz, he talks like Oz, he is Oz, and then a moment here or there, he'll jump into the Irish accent. You're like, oh shit, that's right, he's back there somewhere, he's inside there somewhere,
This powerful transformation wasn't just about external alterations to Colin's appearance, rather, it was a psychological change, even for his co-stars.
Arkham?
Yeah.
No. Oz feels real to me because I was around Oz way more than Colin. Even if he would still talk like, how was your weekend, blah, 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 blah. I was with the visual of Oz.
The series also stars Christian Miloti and Renzi Felix alongside the lobster actor Colin Farrell. Produced by DC Studios with Warner Brothers, the film explores Oswaldo's corpse, aka Penguin's rise to power through crime in fictional Gotham City.
Sophia Falcone knocking on my door.
She is...
Sujata Lochap for DD India.
What is it you're really after, Oz?
And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Over 61% voter turnout recorded in the first phase of Jammu and Kashmir assembly polls. India denounces UN report on elections as unwarranted and out of touch, citing bias and lack of objectivity. World's top wingsuit flyers put on a stunning show for tourists as they soared among the mountainous landscapes in China's Hunan province.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. The United Nations General Assembly has adopted a resolution on Wednesday that demanded Israel to end its presence in the Palestinian territory within 12 months. India has underlined that it is a strong advocate of dialogue and diplomacy, and efforts should be made towards building bridges and not furthering divides. Delivering New Delhi's explanation on the resolution, India's permanent representative to the UN, Ambassador P. Harish, said two-state solution will lead to enduring peace.
India's abiding commitment to achieving a just, peaceful, and lasting solution to the Israel-Palestine issue is also known. Only a two-state solution achieved through direct and meaningful negotiations between both sides will lead to enduring peace. We have been strong advocates of dialogue and diplomacy. We believe that there is no other way to resolve conflicts. There are no winners in conflicts. The cost of conflict is human lives and destruction.
India denounced UN report on Indian elections, delivering her remarks at the 57th session of the Human Rights Council in Geneva. Indian envoy Anupama Singh termed the annual report presented by the Working Group of Enforced and Involuntary Disappearances as well as the thematic report on elections unwarranted and out of touch with reality.
As regards elections, we are proud to have successfully concluded the world's biggest electoral exercise and elected a government that reflects the will of the people. Thus, we find the comments in the report unwarranted and out of touch with reality, leading to concerns of bias and lack of objectivity. We would urge the working group not to fall prey to motivated political narratives while preparing their report and make greater efforts to uphold the code of conduct governing their functioning and working methods.
The World Food India 2024 began on Thursday with the participation of 90 countries, 26 Indian states and union territories, along with 18 central ministries and allied government bodies. India's premier food innovation event brings together innovation, technology and sustainability in the food processing sector. The 4-day-long conference from September 19 to 22nd aims at becoming the largest event for the food processing and allied sectors in India. India's Minister for Food Processing Industries, Chirag Paswan, invited the leaders to invest with ideas in India.
India comes with an opportunity where we can collab together. Being an agro-based country, where the farmers are the backbone, we, in terms of production, there's an abundance here. How to convert this abundance into opportunity is what we are targeting at, is what we are aiming towards. And I think this platform provides us opportunities to collab with each other, provides us to share technologies, gives us an opportunity to interact with each other and share ideas, share technologies, share startup ideas, innovations.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will interact with the beneficiaries of PM Vishwakarma scheme during his visit to Wardha on Friday. DD India's Yogesh Seetal has filed this report.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Wardha, Maharashtra and participate in the National PM Vishwakarma program, marking 1 year of progress under PM Vishwakarma.
This program is basically to celebrate success of PM Vishwakarma scheme, which has been launched last year by Honorable PM Narendra Modi. This program also includes launching of Mega PM Mitra Textile Park in Amravati, followed by 2 schemes of Skill Development Department, that is Acharya Chanakya Skill Development Center and Punyashlok Ahilyabai Holkar Mahila Startup Scheme. Followed by launching of the event, the Honorable PM will interact with 750 locations across India.
During the program, Prime Minister will release certificates and loans to PM Vishwakarma beneficiaries. He'll also release a commemorative stamp dedicated to mark 1 year of progress under PM Vishwakarma.
India is known for its sophisticated traditional craftsmanship. However, due to various factors, particularly due to technical advancement related competition in market and also due to COVID-19 crisis, Indian artisans and craftsmen had to face hard days. This Vishwakarma Yojana had ensured that the much needed support and help by the government could be extended to these artisans.
The scheme provides collateral-free credit, skill training, modern tools, incentive for digital transactions and market linkage support to artisans in 18 trades. In Wardha, artisans are excited to attend the event.
हमने रजिस्ट्रेशन किए, हमारा ट्रेनिंग भी हुआ 40 घंटे का, इसकी जो है स्टाइपेंड भी मिल गया उनको और आगे इनके किट मिलने वाली है। ये कारीगरों के लिए लाभदायक है और आगे नई पीढ़ी को उत्साही होने के लिए अच्छा और आर्थिक उसकी बाजू भी सक्षम होंगी।
इस योजना को लेकर के हमारे समाज में एक खुशी की लहर आई है और नए युवा वर्ग में अपने पारंपरिक व्यवसाय के प्रति भावना जागृत हुई है।
More than 2 million beneficiaries have registered to avail the benefits of this scheme, out of which 1,11,861 are from Maharashtra.
Wardha lies near Sevagram, which is the place where our freedom fighters had held number of meetings to give a boost to Swadeshi movement. Now at the time, the country is witnessing another form of Swadeshi movement through Make in India, Vocal for Local, Self-Reliant India. Wardha will be witnessing the first anniversary of the scheme, that is PM Vishwakarma Yojana, the scheme which is dedicated to the core of Indian talent. With my colleague Kapil, this is Yogesh Kumar Seetal reporting from Maharashtra for DD India.
And time for some other stories. The Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir voted in its first assembly election in a decade on Wednesday. The overall voter turnout in the Union Territory during the first phase of the assembly election was recorded at over 61%. The highest voter turnout so far has been recorded in the Kishtwar district of Jammu and Kashmir with 77.23%, while the lowest has been in Pulwama with 43.87%. Meanwhile, campaigning for the remaining phase of elections are in full swing. Political leaders holding rallies across Jammu and Kashmir. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also hold rallies in Srinagar and Katra region of Jammu. On his visit to Jammu and Kashmir, Prime Minister Narendra Modi wrote on X, and I quote, "I look forward to being among the people of Jammu and Kashmir today. We'll address a rally in Srinagar and Katra. Yesterday's turnout has shown that the people of J&K are very enthusiastic about the elections and are keen to make the poll process vibrant. I will speak about a development agenda and seek people's blessings." The US Federal Reserve cut interest rates on Wednesday for the first time in 4 years, stepping back from its aggressive bid to cool the world's largest economy and reduce inflation. Here's a report by Anamika Pandey.
In a significant shift for the US economy, the Federal Reserve announced a jumbo-sized rate cut, its first rate reduction cut since the COVID pandemic. Fed Chair Jerome Powell said the recent economic data, such as the slowdown in hiring combined with a decline in the inflation rate, convinced Fed officials that a larger cut was needed.
Our patient approach over the past year has paid dividends. Inflation is now much closer to our objective, and we have gained greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably toward 2%. As inflation has declined and the labor market has cooled, the upside risks to inflation have diminished and the downside risks to employment have increased. We now see the risks to achieving our employment and inflation goals as roughly in balance, and we are attentive to the risks to both sides of our dual mandate.
As Americans prepare to cast their votes in a November poll, the strength of the economy and concern about its direction has become a critical issue in the presidential election campaign. Former President Donald Trump suggested that the decision to cut interest rates could be politically motivated.
I guess it shows the economy is very bad to cut it by that much. Assuming they're not just playing politics, the economy would be very bad, or they're playing politics, one or the other. But it was a big cut.
Vice President Kamala Harris called the rate cut welcome news, stressing that her focus is on keeping prices down. Markets surged in response to the central bank's announcement, but all three major indexes eventually moved into the red before the end of the day. The Fed signaled that it will cut the rate by another 0.5 percentage point this year and expects 4 more cuts in 2025 and 2 in 2026. Anamika Pandey for DD India.
On to sports news now. India got off to a shaky start in Chennai cricket test, losing 3 wickets before lunchtime on day 1 of the first test against Bangladesh. Bangladesh's Hassan Mahmood is on fire today and he has now taken his 3rd wicket. However, the duo of Yashasvi Jaiswal and Rishabh Pant are slowly bringing Team India back on track against Bangladesh. Both of them are dealing in boundaries and also rotating the strike regularly to keep the scoreboard moving for the hosts. Pant is returning to Test cricket after a hiatus of almost 700 days. On the other hand, Bangladesh bowlers are eyeing some quick wickets in order to keep India's batting lineup in check. Now, the world's top wingsuit flyers put on a stunning show for tourists who were left in awe at the bravery of these daredevils as they soared among the mountainous landscapes in central China's Hunan province.
Exit.
That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.